NFL rookie minicamps underway. We're hearing a lot of sound from the podium come through from head coaches, and particularly these rookie quarterbacks that everybody wants to hear about, as so many of them ended up being picked in the top 12 of this year's NFL draft. I need your help, though, to help read through the lines. And we do a segment on the show usually called News or Noise. Today, this is GM Translator. Let's dissect what some of these guys are saying, starting with Michael Penix Jr. Here he is on handling his unique role alongside Kirk Cousins.
I mean, we're on the same team. You know, it's not hard to approach that relationship. You know, we got the same goals. You know, that's seeing this team win football games. So, you know, for me, it's just, just being able to, connect with him, get to know him as not just a player, but as a person as well. You know, so I look forward to that. And, it's definitely going to be great. You know, I'm super, super blessed to be able to be, right here in this position right now. You know, obviously with a veteran in front of me right now, and just learning from him and, just going about my business, teaching every day, just trying to find ways to improve and, get to where he is, multiple years in the league. So that's what I want.
Certainly saying all the right things, Michael. And I think it's good, too, like for as much as we wish that we were seeing Michael Penix on a team and in a position where he would play right away, he is going to have a really good, solid guy to get to learn behind and watch play.
Right. But what I think he's saying there is he's had in that conversation, there's two really things he's saying. He likes Kirk as a player, but he understands that, he's going to learn from him, but he's got to compete. And I think here's the biggest difference, Stormy. And here's where every NFL team has to address this. Michael Penix, up until NIL came in, was an amateur. And now he's a professional. And so what you have to understand is amateurs focus on dividing the pie, which means they're all in it for the good of the team. Professionals focus on growing the pie. They got to win. I'm going to help my team win. And even though he claims they're both on the same team, somebody's got to help the team win. And when you're an amateur, you'll let someone else do it. But when you're a pro, you want to do it.
And I think it's going to be a very interesting balancing act from Raheem Morris in this spot where you're talking to Kirk Cousins and you're saying, hey, you're our guy. We believe in you. But you're also having sidebar conversations with Michael Penix Jr. saying, be ready. Like, if anything happens, we're going to need you to step in and we're going to need you to win games and be the guy. So it's very interesting. And especially, like, we've talked about this before on the show, Michael. You've made the point numerous times in training camp and in some of these camps. Michael Penix Jr. is fully healthy. We're going to be seeing some awesome throws from him. And you have Kirk Cousins, who's coming off an Achilles, and he's going to be a little bit more slow starting.
Stormy, we drafted Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round, okay? And he played okay in the preseason, probably better than he practiced, but he played okay. When we walked off the field against the Kansas City Chiefs after getting smoked and had Cincinnati on Sunday night, there were people calling for Garoppolo to be the starter. And I don't know if you remember, but the starter at that time was a man by the name of Tom Brady, okay?
Heard of him.
They were calling, it wasn't Tom Brady who had 3 Super Bowls around his belt. It wasn't someone else, right? So, like, if that situation could happen in New England, what could happen in World Champion City of Atlanta with Super Bowl winning GM, Terry Fontenot and Kaiser Sose McKay? I mean, like, how are they going to handle this? They've had so many wins down there that, of course, it's going to blow up.
That is never going to get old for me. We have more sound, though, that I want to get you to unpack here, Michael. Okay. Number 1 overall pick. Caleb Williams was asked about his approach to leadership now that Matt Eberflus has already named him QB1 for the season. Here's Caleb.
To be a great leader, you got to learn how to follow first. So right now I'm following all the vets. I'm following all the coaches. I'm listening, having both ears open and my mouth shut, just kind of sitting back listening. And then, when I get to the point of when I learn everything, when I learn the ways of how we do it, the culture, the playbook, and what the offensive line, wide receivers are all doing, running backs and tight ends and things like that, then you can start taking the lead. Then you can start taking the helms of all of it and take the next steps. For right now, though, I'm listening more than I'm speaking and talking, and I'm taking it one step at a time, being the moment.
A very mature sounding Caleb Williams, Michael. What'd you take away?
Yeah, really. really good to see. I think, again, let's stay on this theme, amateur, professional, because they're changing. Amateurs show up to practice to have fun. Professionals show up to realize practice is about what happens in the game happens in practice. And so there lies the difference. And, yeah, he needs to collect data and find his way around and focus on what he hears. But at some point, what he has to do is pass wisdom on to others, and that's how he's going to gain leadership and come in through the clutch. And they got to believe in him, right? That he's got to develop trust in that huddle. Like, it's 3 minutes, it's a minute to go in the game. We're down by 4. We need a touchdown. It's rain. It's cold. I got this. I'm calm. I'm collected. We'll make it happen.
I also did like, by the way, like, in addition to everything that he's saying, that we're not having any questions and fake, like, oh, he's got to earn the job. Like, no, you drafted him as the number 1 overall pick. You have Tyson Bagent, Brett Rippon in your room. It's Caleb Williams. We all know it's Caleb Williams. So give him the reins and give him this opportunity, as he said there, to learn about leadership and then become his own leader of this team from day one. Now, in Denver, Sean Payton got his guy, drafting Bo Nix in the top 12 of the draft. What has Nix shown his new head coach so far at rookie minicamp? Here's Payton.
It's almost like watching a good golfer. Sometimes when you watch his game over 2 years, you just there's a patience to how he plays. The ball comes out, and I don't want to use the term boring. That's not the right term, but pretty good decisions. And with each play, the efficiency and how he's operating, all of that.
Michael, he didn't want to use the word boring because he sees it as a compliment. Like, boring is good for Sean Payton. Bo Nix is doing what he wants.
You damn right. Yeah, you could just tell. Now, look, I think Sean is saying there in my GM translator is, I got exactly what I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Like, here's one thing you want to do as an executive in the league or as a coach. You want to go out on the first rookie camp and you want to have symmetry. You want to see that the first rounder is a first rounder. The second rounder is the second best player. The third rounder is the third best. What you don't want is some college free agent look better than the first round pick. Okay? You don't want that. And so and then you want to be able to say what we scouted is what we got. Because scouting is about learning more about the players before you draft them than after you draft them. And I think what Sean's very clearly saying in that conversation there is he's exactly what I thought he was. So lay off me, take a step back, and I'll make this thing go. And all you experts who gave us C- and said we didn't, you're going to eat your words in 2 years.
I love that. And it also seemed we got to the point with Russell Wilson where when he would talk about the quarterback situation, he had kind of a smirk on his face about it. And with Bo Nix, at least early impressions, he's got a little bit of a new glow. He's feeling good about his situation right now in Denver.
Yeah, it's like he's talking about a new girlfriend that he's really in love with. You can feel it, right? I mean, it all comes back to that, right, Stormy?
We've gone on those first couple dates. Everything's looking good. Who knew we had so much in common? We heard from Michael Penix Jr. and his approach to the unusual working relationship with Kirk Cousins. Well, now we have also heard from Cousins, Michael. Kirk, what did you think of the news that Atlanta was taking a quarterback at number 8 overall? Let's take a listen to him on Bussin' with the Boys.
You're reminded again that there are things you control. And there's a lot of things you don't control. And so let's deal in reality, and recognize that fact, and then be a steward, not an owner. So I just believe that I got to steward what comes my way and control what I can control, which is what a steward does. But a steward doesn't worry about that which they can't control.
So it's fair to say Kirk Cousins, the Falcons, there's no beef involved.
No, and I don't think there can be. I don't think it's helpful. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, and it's hard enough. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard enough. So let's all be on the same page and let's try to go win a Super Bowl.
All right, Michael, what's the GM translation?
I got $100 million. I'm happy it check cleared. It's good in the bank. I'm pretty good. I've got a lot of money set up for not only my generation, my kids' generation, and their generation, their kids' generation. So I'm good. Everything's fine. And if they want to do what they want to do, so be it. But I'm not going to badmouth them because I enjoy their checks and I love the fact that they're cash all the time. So what else could he say? What's he going to say? I'm upset?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Michael, $100 million would certainly ease the pain. But yeah, and like he has the right to be upset, obviously, given the situation and the expectation you had in the conversations that you were having with leadership. But I also think that some of what he's saying is true, that like it's not Michael Penix Jr.'s fault that he's in this position. We're still gonna do the best that we can, right?
No question. And like the great Arnold Rothstein said, the man who fixed the White Sox World Series, nothing says I'm sorry better than money. And $100 million can say you're sorry, right? This is the perfect example of it, right? And so, we're sorry we drafted Penix, but you got $100 million in the bank. Can we move on now?
So good. Okay, let's go to Kirko's former team in Minnesota, where 2 picks after the Michael Penix selection, the Minnesota Vikings took J.J. McCarthy. Here's McCarthy over the weekend, followed by head coach Kevin O'Connell on his early acclimation to the offense.
It was simple because it didn't feel like my first day. I've been going over the offense for a long time now, so being able to go out there and actually perform and execute it, that's new, but it was nothing that, was overwhelming or, too much.
Total learning environment. There really isn't, I know some folks may be keeping track of completions and interceptions and things like that. It's too early for that conversation, I can tell you that much. But, yeah, it's all teachable, and that's what makes it this time of year so valuable.
All right, Michael, what's the word?
I think, to me, it's exactly what you would expect. It's like, look, he's learning, he's studying. He's probably trying to tell you that he's doing the things that a pro needs to do. We said this yesterday. One of the things every college kid who leaves the campus and goes to a pro environment, he must separate himself from no longer being an amateur and becoming a pro. And everything he said there, I agree. I think it was straightforward. I think, it's going to be measured in days, not in weeks. Got to get better every single day.
I sat back and listened to all of JJ's comments this weekend, and like the maturity just oozes from this kid, right? Like, yep. He's mature, he's cerebral, he's dialed in, he's going to do everything it takes to know the playbook inside and out, and like you have to respect that element to it. And Kevin O'Connell is such a good coach to get him on the right track. Also, speaking to those comments that Kevin O'Connell had about we're not, there's some people that are tracking completions, Saw a tweet there on the Twitter machine from the Athletic NFL that Caleb Williams today at practice didn't have a single incompletion. Keep inflating those Bears markets. Let's go.
I mean, look, football is a game of tackling. Football is a game of physical contact. OTA days has none of that. Like, there's none of that. And so great he's had the ball didn't. I mean, Jake Locklear, when I went to his workout, Jake Locklear up in University of Washington, he threw 1 incomplete pass out of 5 throws. He's not even in the NFL. It's meaningless. It's meaningless.
Shout out producer Elliot for bringing that to our attention. A ball did not hit the ground. How impressive.
He knows how to annoy me. That Elliot knows how to annoy me perfectly.
Monday, we heard Patriots' new head coach, Gerard Mayo, have some comments on Drake Maye that he has some work he needs to do. That is a thought process that's been echoed by a lot of other analysts, by fans alike. Let's hear from Drake Maye himself when asked about the criticism he's facing.
Gerard said you were here pretty late last night, just going over stuff. What was that, going through your?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, quarterback, you got to know what everybody's doing on the field in the offense. You got to know all 11. You got to know just, my job. So you got to know what everybody's doing. I think it takes extra time and it takes extra drawing up, extra questions.
Do you see what folks are saying? I mean, you get the lay people out here just say, his footwork's a mess. Oh. Do you see what people are saying in terms of, hey, yeah, I do have to. Those are things I need to work on.
Not every time. Everybody knows what's going on. Just trying to, play ball and try to win games and learn as much as I can.
Some beat writers crack me up. There's a different way to ask that question, but neither here nor there. Michael, what's the GM translator telling you?
He's working hard. He's just trying. But I think what's so fascinating about that conversation that went back and forth is people are saying his footwork is really bad. Okay? All right. If you think his footwork is bad, tell them how to correct his footwork. Do you think the person that's saying his footwork is bad can coach him up on how to correct it? Of course they can. They'd have no idea how to correct it. But they're going to keep saying that his footwork's bad. Like, at some point, like, if you can't correct it, how could you say it? Because the only way you know it's wrong is if you know the right way, correct?
Sure.
And none of those people know the right way or know what's being asked of them in the system. So it's really just a ridiculous question with no one being able to supply an answer. And so now all of a sudden, we'll get this, this nothing that's provable becomes fact, which is really wrong. And so I feel bad for him. I think the kid's doing a good job. He just got to keep his mouth shut and keep working.
And he's in the NFL now. He's going to have the right people around him to work out some of those kinks. He'll work on whatever footwork issues that he has. He's going to get the scheme down. He's going to work on being under center. Like, that's what this time is for. And he's got Jacoby Brissett right there, who's, I would anticipate, I think we all anticipate him being the starter right away. And so he'll have a little bit of time extra to sit back, watch, and learn and grow and mature and all of those things. Picked just ahead of Maye at number 2 overall, Jayden Daniels to the Washington Commanders. Here's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner on being the new franchise QB for a historic organization.
Yeah, it's just a franchise that's eager, be able to go out there and try to help the team win football games. And obviously, it's new everything here, and the DMV, this fan base, everybody they want to see wins, they want to see excitement, want to see joy. So, hopefully that we could go out there, we could do it as a Commanders franchise, as a team. But that's way down the road. We worry about rookie minicamp and practice tomorrow.
The GM translation, Michael?
Well, he knows how much pressure's on him. He recognizes the fan base hasn't won. He knows just going around town that people expect him to turn it around. And then he backed off and said, let's just give us one day at a time, because that pressure is going to start to get on him. He knows it. He can feel it. You can sense it from certain fan bases. We know it. It happens with the Bears fans all the time. They're so desperate for their answer, and they may have it in Caleb Williams, but they're going to put so much pressure on the player. It's a little bit like what's going on with Bronny James. Why is everybody putting so much pressure on the kid? Just let the kid play. Let Daniels play, but that pressure from the outside really becomes a deterrent, and I think you can recognize in his answer that he feels it, and I hope it doesn't affect his play.